Hey, it's the I Am Cait After Show on AFTERBUZZ TV. Tonight we're talking about Season 2, Episode 6 called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, it's the I Am Cait After Show on AFTERBUZZ TV, and tonight we're in New Orleans. Yes. Let's do some quick intros. I'm Jeffery Masters. I tweet from Jeff Masters 1.
What's up, everyone? I'm Thomas Orlina, and you can find me at Thomas Orlina on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook.
Awesome. How are you, Thomas?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I want to go to New Orleans. It's on my list. Have you been?
No, I've never gone. It looks so much fun.
It looks fun, and everyone says that you can like go out with like $10 and drinks are so cheap you come home with like $3 and change.
I know that. I really need to make it a point to go there.
It's my dream. Okay, so the biggest thing that happened in the episode was, of course, Kris Jenner.
Yes.
Came to town. What was your reaction when you first heard that she was going to be on the show?
I was excited. I think everybody wants to know what Kris Jenner thinks about everything that's going on with Caitlyn.
Yeah.
You know, 23 years together is a long time. So, I mean, I was excited to see her on the show.
I had no idea they were together that long. Mm-hmm. The fact that they were together for so long, but then beyond that Caitlyn was taking hormones before they got together.
Yes.
So yes, Caitlyn Jenner has not had the typical trans experience, and her struggle not that I want to compare struggles of different people, but she's been struggling and dealing with this for such a massively long time. It was wild to me. I wonder if Kris came on the show for like reality reasons because it was a show. You know, she flew to New Orleans for like, what was it, 24 hours?
Yeah.
I wonder, would they have worked on their relationship and tried to like quote unquote reconcile had it not been for the show?
I think that we've seen her go through all the progress of, we saw in last season when she was emotional. I mean, tensions were rising, but this is 6 months later and she's done so well. Like, I feel like she's adapted to kind of the changes that we're seeing.
Yeah, it also, we had debated last episode or before that about how soon after Caitlyn's announcement does this show take place. And for it to be 6 months, it kind of makes me want to ease up on Caitlyn and how we're treating her.
I know, but we saw a different side to her on this episode. I feel like, she was a little nervous at times. You felt like the nervousness, but yeah. I thought she did well.
Yeah. What was Kris's initial reaction on the Keeping Up with the Kardashians when Caitlyn came out?
I think that everybody was kind of still processing everything, but, she's such a sweet lady. I feel like she's just relatable in some ways. She's very open, and that came out on tonight's episode.
Yeah. I also liked that she kind of put her guard down towards the end of the episode. We see her and she's smiling and everything she says is through the smile and she is on. Girls, it is so good to see you. And then towards the end, things definitely got tense in the middle, but just like the dinner conversation. And I find that Jenny Boylan can just pull anything out of anybody. And I think her trick is that she relates it to herself.
Yes,
She tells about her wife's reaction and then she asked for like now Caitlyn's ex-wife's reaction.
Speaking of Jenny, she glammed it up on tonight's episode.
Oh my God, I know. Her hair is huge.
I know.
She looked great.
She did.
But also Kate Bornstein in that blue sequin jacket.
Yes, I was living for that. Everybody stepped it up on tonight's episode.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was surprised too when they were saying that Kris hadn't been around that much.
Yeah.
And it was so evident too in their discussion that she's really hurting.
You know what? I feel like it's a lot to digest and a lot to process. So, they did file for divorce, so it's you're not every day gonna see the partner that you were with. But I feel like it's nice to see her on this episode. I was really happy about it.
Yeah, and it's so easy for me at least to forget that trans people have families and that they also have a struggle to deal with it. And let's think they were together for 23 years, and then before that, Caitlyn was even dealing with coming to terms with being transgender. She's been thinking about this, let's just estimate 25-ish years.
I know.
Kris has had 6 months. Of course she's hurt. Of course it would be a struggle to get used to it. And I think it's fascinating to see on camera someone grasping with dealing with not dealing with a transgender family member, but coming to terms with someone that they know so intimately.
Yeah.
That the father of your child is transitioning.
Well, they roll through the punches. This is like what the Kardashians do. I mean, they go through all these, situations, and they always, find the middle. And I feel like it's just great.
Yeah. And I liked hearing the perspective of Jenny and Cait, like applauding her for being there.
Yeah, of course. Like just seeing her on the show and being, one of the most famous people out there. I mean, she really just has an openness that is so great to see.
Yeah, and an openness to, and then a willingness to, like, be herself. Mm-hmm. Like, she wasn't afraid to pick on Caitlyn.
She was having a good time. We know Kris Jenner loves her cocktails, and she was just having a great time with great people. And
is that her MO?
That is.
I haven't seen Kardashians in probably like 8 or 9 years.
Okay, next month, May 1st, you have to watch the season premiere of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Do you know what season this is?
12.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I think it's important to have Kris on the episode because, as a Keeping Up fan, 12 seasons in, I've been invested in, watching the episode. So to see such a big, monumental change, it's nice to see her on the show because I think a lot of people were curious.
Yeah.
Tabloids could go, like run stories like wildfire. And tonight, just seeing how, everything's good.
If you've been watching the show for 12 years, it's been a part of your life for a really long time. Yeah.
I was in Vegas this weekend, and I did go to Kim Kardashian's event at Hakkasan, so...
Did you? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you feel like, oh my God, there's Kim Kardashian? Or was it just like, oh my God, Kim, the person I see on TV all the time? Did you feel like you knew her?
A little bit of both. I mean, she is, she has like 66 million followers on Instagram. She is just amazing.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. When Kris said tonight that Caitlyn told her earlier, I think 10 years ago was the question, what would her reaction been? And she said, I would have become the world's greatest best friend.
What was your interpretation of that?
I think that she knows that she is ultimately an open person and accepting for whatever decision you want to make. I think we see that in her children as well, that they will choose or do something crazy and she supports them. And I don't know if it's because of they're on TV or not, but this family seems like once you're a member of the family, you're always a member of the family.
Exactly.
Like Scott and now Caitlyn. And I think that I actually believe her when she says she would have been their best friend.
I do too.
And I think that she still could get there. Don't you?
Yeah, I mean, 6 months in. I mean, I'm hoping to see more, hopefully.
Yeah.
We need more of Caitlyn.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to be just like fascinating to see, just like for the world, to see this famous family accepting their transgender family member.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, not fascinating to see, but good for the world to see of how they are dealing with it and how the interactions are so normal. They're like a family member.
Exactly. I mean, I follow Kylie Jenner's Snapchat, and I just saw, her Mac product just came out. Caitlyn.
Yes.
Did you know that?
I did. I knew she was doing that. Didn't know it came out.
Yes, it's called Finally Free.
Oh my God.
100% of the proceeds are going to their transgender foundation. So it's pretty cool.
Wow, that's awesome. Did you not think that Kris was being a little too hard on her in the bus? The first time. Part? It was when she was yelling at her to shut the F up and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, if anybody knows Caitlyn Jenner, it's Kris Jenner.
Kind of.
I think the traits are still there,
She wasn't married to Bruce, though.
True.
And
some of the traits didn't leave.
No, of course not.
So I feel like that's where she feels like, she knows Caitlyn.
Yeah. And it is interesting to see Bruce on the show very much had took a step back, right? So it's really interesting to see Caitlyn now taking a step forward and having these confessional discussions to camera. That must be weird for you to see, right?
Yeah, it's so different. Just seeing, when you would watch Keeping Up, you would see Bruce with his helicopter, doing his own thing. But now seeing Caitlyn on the show, it's refreshing because we hear everything that's going on in her mind. We're seeing all these changes, mistakes, everything. I think it's amazing.
Do you forgive Kris for misgendering her a couple times?
I do. I think that, if you're going through a change like this, it's bound to happen, and it's not intentional. It's not coming from a bad place, so I completely forgive her.
Yeah, it just must be so hard to like when you know someone so, again, intimately. But also I felt for her because Kris is telling these stories about Bruce and using, and at that time he did prefer a he, him, his. And so, you know, now when she's telling the story about how like when Bruce would come home and it's like, what gender do I use? And at that time it was he. So I forgive her.
Yeah.
It's hard. I also thought that when they were having this discussion with the politics and how hard she can be to like change her mind.
I know.
I did really like Kate Bornstein's point that she has these hard opinions and that she's also fighting 1 against 7, and so maybe that's why she's yelling a little bit louder than everybody else.
I know. She has her opinions going, so it's like what Kris Jenner says, you need that many people to get to Caitlyn. So.
And I think that we as viewers needed this episode. It was free, beyond that discussion, free of politics. It was free of a lot of things that kind of make us like wins around Caitlyn.
And I feel like, you know, the press and stories are going to run of just the progress that, you know, Kris Jenner has made. So I'm hoping that it's all going to be good press.
Yeah, and these things take time, and that's okay.
It is okay.
You know, I don't want like people to get mad at her for not automatically accepting Caitlyn.
Exactly. I think, like, you know, they are public figures, so it's just easy for people to just be like, you know, you're not representing us, but at the end of the day, she's doing the best that she can.
Yeah, again, it's a family, and it's this person's ex-spouse, so it would take them time to grasp it, and I see Kris trying really hard.
That's why I want more of the Kardashians to be on the episodes. I'm hoping for, you know, more episodes and seeing them more, because we're seeing the transition that Caitlyn is going through, but I think it's important for other families and other people out there that are dealing with something like this to kind of go in the direction that they're going and just see that, you know, you can get through anything.
Yeah, and not only is the show revolutionary in the fact that we're seeing 5, 6, 7 trans women on screen at the same time, which I can't name another show, but then we're seeing a baby trans person.
Right.
Caitlyn's 6 months old, and then we're seeing this baby trans person's family dealing with it, and in the midst of the hurt and the trying to figure out what your relationship is with this person and just grasping that, for that to be televised, it's an incredibly personal moment.
It is.
And I don't know that another family would have been able to do that than the Kardashians.
I don't either, but it's good that we're seeing this. You know, I'm hoping that this story inspires other families to just rally together and just keep going at it.
Yeah, and again, people don't think that Caitlyn Jenner is the perfect spokesperson for the trans community, and she's not, but she is by default.
Yes.
Until there are more trans people, and had it been somebody else, not Caitlyn Jenner, maybe the publicity wouldn't have been this big.
Right.
You know, the fact that it was a Kardashian member of the family is unbelievable.
I know.
It's almost... It's actually, it's like, it is unbelievable, the word I already used. But it's like almost unfathomable that, like, were you to pick anybody in pop culture, I think nobody would have ever guessed a member of the Kardashians.
I did not see this coming. I know we heard rumors and things like this, and I know that Kim had done a few interviews, but it started to really hit me that, you know, this was all going down, so.
When do you remember when you first heard about Caitlyn's transition?
I think it was last year, in January.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like last year during the time that they were talking about her doing the Vanity Fair issue and things like that. Yeah.
See, I was at I don't know how much like my facts are correct, but maybe like October before that, I was like loosely dating somebody who works at Ryan Seacrest's production, and so I was hearing these like facts because they were already working on the reality show, and at this point, it was pre Caitlyn Jenner's car crash.
So they were working on the reality show in October?
In I don't remember the exact date, but it was in anticipation for Caitlyn's coming out. And this was pre-Diane Sawyer, pre-car crash, pre-announcement, pre-everything.
Wow.
But it was definite that she was transgender and definite that they were doing the reality series about it. And at this time, they told me that there was a 20-episode pickup.
Wow.
So I think that after the car crash, they delayed some things just because she was on the news for something that wasn't... Well, we didn't know what it was. It wasn't positive. It wasn't, you know, negative. And then a Dying Story interview happened where that was the last time that she said, like, this is the last time you'll call me Bruce. And then the Vanity Fair cover came out. And then I think within the midst of that, they reworked the show to be a docu-series and then to be just 8 episodes. I believe the first season was 8.
Yeah. I think like 8 episodes is enough because they go through so many different things. I don't think we need 20 episodes.
Yeah, and I think that that is what kind of the producers came to realize, that it'll be a much more respectful showing too. Because I think at 20 episodes, you're just like exploiting dumb storylines.
Yeah, then they have to create things, and it's just, you get a realness from watching this season.
I just go back to like Chandy on the horse. That was a fun moment, and then it didn't stop. And like this episode,
it was a good 7 minutes for that scene.
Yeah. And then Chandy got stuck on the bus, and I'm like, Chandy is a great cast member. Don't like give her these like dumb jokes.
Yeah.
But I loved that they're just wandering down the street, and they wander into the bridal store this episode.
Yes.
And then the first dress they try on fits perfect, and there's not the clasps in the back to hold it together.
Yeah. I was living for that whole scene.
Were you?
The dress that Caitlyn tried on looked kind of similar to Kim's Givenchy dress that she wore for her wedding.
Oh, did it?
With the sleeves, yeah. I really like that dress a little bit more than I liked Candace's dress, yeah.
Oh, what a fun fact about the similarities of Kim's dress.
It was. It gave me that vibe, yeah. I really liked it.
I just felt so much for Candace. You could see like the visible emotion on her face in the wedding dress. It's... Again, like what she said, she didn't ever expect that this was possible. A couple years ago, it wasn't legal everywhere. Now, with certain rulings in Georgia, North Carolina, we know that trans representation is still not where it needs to be. But just seeing these 2 trans women in wedding dresses and like what that represents, we've just come so far in such a little bit of time.
That's a magazine. That's like a front cover of a magazine.
The 2 of them?
Yeah. No, all of them actually. I think it's great.
God, yeah. I mean, wild, and it just there's something about seeing a woman in her wedding dress, which is just like exemplifies womanhood. You know.
I wish they all would have participated. It would have been cool.
It was interesting too that Jenny Boylan got married to her wife pre-transition.
I know.
And yet she still stood back and was like, "No, I don't want this fun." Yeah, I just Jenny Boylan in her big hair and dancing at the end of the episode. That's all I ever wanted.
She was living throughout the whole entire episode.
Yeah. And then of course we brought up the discussion at dinner about genitalia.
Yes.
I thought that it was good that they had this discussion twice on the episode.
I agree.
Because it's so big and so many people in the media keep like asking the wrong questions. I just go back to the Katie Couric interview with Laverne Cox.
Oh yeah.
And like Katie's face was just like, why are you upset?
I know. I feel like it was good for them to discuss that because I mean I was watching the episode and I'm like, I didn't know that either. So it's good for audiences.
Oh really?
I didn't know that either. I feel like it's good for audiences to know that, you know, it's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
It's literally everybody's preference, like whatever they want.
Yeah, not everybody wants it. Some people, I thought it was fascinating to hear, like Elle talking about how she's still considering it. And I loved Kate Bornstein again. You know, what is in your pants does not make or not make you a man or a woman. And how even when she transitioned, I think what she was saying was that what was in your pants did make you a woman or not a woman. Oh, at least the common belief was. And yet through her work, I call her the grandmother of gender studies, and Jenny Boylan's work and everybody else's, we now have this more sophisticated understanding of gender.
Exactly. And like what you said, bringing up the conversation twice was good to just make sure everybody got it.
Yeah.
So there's no questions asked.
Absolutely. And the fact that we could have this discussion on TV and then have a member of the Kardashian family to help to like put it into homes. Like people nag on this show, but what it's doing is incredible.
It is.
And incredibly important.
It is very important. I feel like with Kris Jenner on the episode, you're seeing, you know, her experience throughout this entire process. But at the end of the day, it's like she's just an everyday, you know, it's an everyday thing. So,
and I thought
it's just on TV.
Yes, absolutely. And then it was so telling for Kris Jenner to say that 6 months ago she couldn't have told you the definition of transgender. I'm speechless. Yeah, like I just think of like she lives in Los Angeles and she is a liberal and she's in the entertainment industry. So if she hasn't heard of transgender, like why would my like first grade teacher in North Carolina have?
Right.
You know, this is somebody who she knows trans people even if she doesn't realize it. And that's a fact. So, or I guess did before Caitlyn Jenner. Obviously, it's a fact now. But I just think for her to be out of that loop and out of touch is, again, unbelievable, which seems to be my theme for the episode. The other thing being marriage, the wedding dresses, and then her Caitlyn's sister, Pat, came on. They talked about marriage there a bit. We didn't ever see her again.
I wanted more of her. I felt like...
Pat, where are you? I was using Pam. Is it Pam?
It's Pam.
Pat's gonna be livid. Pam. Just kidding. Yeah, I wanted more of her too.
Yeah, she could have had a little bit more scenes in it, but I feel like it was geared towards, you know, Kris's opinions, her thoughts.
Marriage, yeah. And then that final discussion on the balcony, which that's like, I feel like the best environment to have a serious discussion when you're throwing out beads on a balcony,
Right.
you know, asking women to like flash themselves. They weren't doing that, I added that. But it's how telling is it that Caitlyn doesn't want to date a guy unless she has the surgery?
I don't know. What's your opinion about that?
I just think it's a good example of how she is still coming to terms with her womanhood. And it reminded me of Jen Richards, who did the first season of I Am Cait. Yeah, she did that episode. She did a web series called with Angela Ross. We've talked about before. Something her story. I think it's just called Her Story.
I think so.
So in the first episode of that, she's on a date, or actually, we don't know if it's a date or not. She's out with another female, and she's saying that her relationship to other women and other men in her life affects how, this is the character talking, by the way, affects how much like a woman she feels and doesn't feel at certain times. So on a date with this female, she's comparing in her mind her hand size. And she has bigger hands, and that makes her feel a little bit less like a woman. But if she's on a date with a man and he has bigger hands, as one example, she feels a little bit more in touch with her womanhood. And I think that is a big issue of what's going on with Caitlyn.
Yeah.
That being with a man, she wants to have this surgery.
I want to definitely, I hope they touch on it a little bit more. And, you don't even know if Caitlyn's going to have her love interest. So
Yeah.
I feel like that could also just continue on. I hope that they bring the show back.
Yeah, and that the fact that she's open and able to talk about her decision whether to have surgery or not, which as we know of now is not, her decision has not been made. Yes. I don't think we're going to get a love interest this season. That seems to be like out of left field.
It was a very personal episode for Caitlyn. She definitely let her guard down. I mean, I was reading some of the stories online already, and it's just, we're on this journey with her, and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, and again, it was necessary to get rid of the controversial things. I wonder, obviously they shot this before and they knew that Kris Jenner was coming on the episode, but I wonder if the show was getting so much flack in the negative route that in the later episodes, like
they need
this
to
one,
lighten it up.
softening it. Yeah, and lighting it up.
Kris Jenner looked amazing on tonight's episode. I was feeling her outfits too.
Yeah, I think she always looks good.
She always does, yeah.
I missed Spencer.
Who's Spencer?
The cast member with like the bangs and blonde.
Yeah.
I think she's a producer on Transparent.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Where was she, guys? Come on out. She'll be back next week, I hope.
Yes.
Speaking of next week, should we do some predictions?
Okay. What's your prediction?
Okay, well, in the preview, we saw the continued conversation with Kris Jenner. I have no idea what's going to happen there. They were talking about
the birth certificate.
Oh, thank you. The birth certificate. Kris had that amazing line of, it's almost like Bruce doesn't exist. And while Caitlyn is obviously moving away from Bruce, I feel Kris, because Kris was married to this person for 23 years. And when you erase Bruce's existence entirely, where does that leave her?
I feel like it's just so much. It's literally draining just to have everything laid on the line like that. But Kris is also in a relationship herself, so I feel like it's been a healing process for her to just go through all that.
I'm sorry, what?
Kris Jenner?
Who is she dating?
Corey Gamble.
Oh, is that a person?
He's part of like Justin Bieber's camp. So yeah. So I feel like they're just so happy, and it's nice to see them really happy, because I feel like at the end of the day, Kris Jenner just wants to see Caitlyn happy.
Yeah.
And she is super happy right now.
Yeah, and going back to her I would have been a great BFF line, the fastest way to bond with somebody can often be talking about like who they're crushing on or not crushing on. And I felt Kris going in that direction on the balcony. Like, oh, you're interested in guys. Like, got your eye on anybody cute?
And good that she's open. Like, that's just so great, because it might have been a different situation had it been somebody else.
Yeah, she's
so
trying.
Lots to digest.
Yeah, she's trying her hardest. Yeah, and on TV, it's amazing. The other thing we saw in next week's episode, Candace Kane with an adoption agency.
Yes.
Wow, it's been like all about her love storyline this season.
The wedding dress.
The wedding dress. The date last episode. I'm rooting for him still. I did not see a baby talk coming.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where that is. If you want me to be shady, I'll say this. I wonder if this was just like a producer coming up with the storyline. But if you don't want me to be shady, I won't say it at all.
The shade is real.
It is real. We'll see you next episode.
We'll see. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, do you have anything else to add before we segue out?
I'm just hoping to see more of Kris, and hopefully more of the family members to come on, because, we're just seeing Kris's perspective, but it would be nice to see, we saw Chloe, so that was nice, but Courtney coming on would be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe more of Kylie. I love Kylie's relationship with Caitlyn.
I love it because she's so blasé. Like, she was so dismissive of her when she missed the red carpet and Caitlyn was hurt that she would do this carpet alone. And I say that I loved it because she was dismissive of her feelings, and that's how a child is with their mom.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that she wasn't just like rushing to like comfort her because she's afraid of upsetting her. She doesn't care.
Yeah, no, and we didn't even talk about how fab she looked. Did you like Caitlyn's dress at the Glamour Awards? That was Jeremy
blue.
Scott.
Yeah, I did. I liked that a lot.
Jeremy Scott designed that dress.
Oh, look at you. Cool.
I was feeling it.
Yeah, but on the whole, I really enjoyed this episode.
I did too. It was a breath of fresh air from last week.
Ah, so great. And then we have two more.
Two more, yes.
Okay, and then as always, we love continuing the conversation online. You can rate, subscribe, and comment on YouTube and iTunes. And of course, follow us on Twitter. Where can good people follow you?
You guys can follow me at Thomas Orlina on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook.
Awesome. And I tweet from Jeff Masters 1. Guys, we'll see you next week. Good night.
See you guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.